Hello, I'm going to walk you through the first deliverable for the Gemini Electronics case study. Today we'll be taking a look at some financial ratios and statement analysis, and I'm going to ask you to scale your statements. I'm going to ask you to comment size your statements, do a trend analysis, a ratio analysis in comparison to benchmarks, and then a cash flow statement. So the first thing that you'll need to do is to open up the Excel spreadsheet that I prepared for you. You'll find that under Case Materials and under the folder Gemini Electronics. And the name of the file that you want to open up is Raw Data and Template. So when we open that up in Excel, you'll see this first, which is your income statement and balance sheet exactly as it comes from the case. I've just copied that over for you into Excel format. So you'll notice these are very large numbers, and when you're working with numbers this large, it's not necessary to really be worried about every single digit. So for instance, in 2009, this number gets quite large. Sales are $13,664,714,160. Okay, that's a lot to say, a lot to remember. You get out of breath doing it. When you're dealing with numbers this large and you're doing trend analysis and ratio analysis, really all you need to do is look at the number in a shorter format. So here what I've done is eliminated 1 million from this number, the 1 million places I should say. So this number here is 2,142,700,000 something. And if we go back to the raw data, you'll see that it's 2,142,659,000. So for the work we're doing, this number is close enough. So you want to calculate what I call that scaled down statement for both the income statement and the balance sheet. The way I would do it is to reference my cell, go to the raw data, pick up a number, and divide by 1,000,000. And you see there that we have 1,324,000,000. Now, the way I would like you to format this, though, is with one decimal point. One decimal point. The next thing I'm going to ask you to do is to comment size your statement, and you probably already saw this on the balance sheet detective assignment that we just did. But we're going to be comment sizing for both sales and for both the income statement and for the balance sheet. When you comment size on the income statement, you comment size everything to the sales. So I take cost of goods, divide it by the sales number, and there we'll format it for 2 decimal points in this case. And you'll see that actually that is 62% of sales are in cost of goods sold. Okay, so that's where we'll start. Actually, what I think we'll do here is we'll format this in percentages at 2%. There we go. And that gives you a better look at the number. And we'll look at 2 decimal points. So percentages and 2 decimal points. For the balance sheet, you're going to comment size everything against total assets. So cash divided by total assets, and then we're going to format it. We'll pick up our little paintbrush and format it. You see that cash is 14.92% of total assets. And then even though you could comment size it on the liabilities and equities side against liabilities, total liabilities and equities, I always just make it easy, copy one formula into total assets. The next thing you're going to want to do is look at trends. So we'll pick up a couple values here and show you how that works. So here I have sales for both 2006 and 2005. I'm going to start my trend analysis with 2006, and what I want to do is calculate the difference in the change in sales between 2005 and 2006. So I'll come up with a formula to find out what the difference is between the 2 years. and then divide by the first year in that series. You can see here that we had 152.7% change in sales 2006 over 2005. So you'll do that for every single account in both your income statement and your balance sheet. Then we'll go on to ratio analysis, and you'll be asked to calculate them using these formulas. And also within the case, there is an industry average for each one of these, or at least for most of these ratios. That's where you're going to want to include that here in the industry column.
If you are not familiar with the calculation and analysis of financial ratios, I have hyperlinked the name of each ratio to go to a link that will explain in detail how that ratio is calculated, what it represents, and how to analyze it. So for instance, if you were to click on current, it would take you to a Investopedia page about the current ratio, and you can see here that it explains it pretty well. Some of them, such as the ratio explanation on equity, actually have a video on the page as well. So you should find this very helpful in completing your worksheet. One other thing is that in cases where you need an average, such as accounts receivable turnover, where it's credit sales, and oh, by the way, credit sales are all sales from your spreadsheet. But credit sales over average accounts receivable, the way you would calculate the average is to take the prior year's balance plus the current year's balance divided by 2. Now in the case of 2005, where you don't have anything to average it over, it would be acceptable and appropriate to just put an NA for not applicable in that column. Don't forget to find your industry averages. You may not find them for every single ratio. And then the comments page is just for your use of any notes that you might have as you're going through the spreadsheet or the ratio analysis page, but it's not anything that I'll be grading or I'll be evaluating. While you are completing your worksheet or after it is finished, I want you to insert 6 to 10 cell comments that basically explain what's in that cell, questions you may have, things you were thinking about while you were working on that particular value. So the way you would do that is to pick a cell. So I'll select the sales for 2005 here. Go into review and select new comment, and a little box will come up, and you'll just put in your comments here into the box and then click outside of your comment box and it will be embedded there. You'll notice there's a little red triangle up in the corner of that cell. If you hover over it, you can see your cell and you should be able to edit it as well. So that brings us to the end of the Gemini statement spread project explanation. If you have any questions, give me a text, ask your cohort. I'll set up a study hall separate from the discussion board question for the week where you can discuss different things, how this has worked for you or help you may need from other students. But just remember that all of the work has to be your own, and I'd prefer that you not paste spreadsheets into that study hall that I'm going to set up. So have a great week, and we will talk to you soon.